Welcome back. We are live in West Palm Beach, Florida at the Charles P. Stuber National Croquet Center, just beginning Game 3 in this Best of 5 2025 Association Croquet World Championships, brought to you by the World Croquet Federation, the United States Croquet Association, and I Do Live Streams. So we've seen a couple shots here. I'm going to hand this off to our well-qualified commentators from the 2020 Golf Croquet World Team Championships, the Openshaw commentating booth. We have Jared Coots from New Zealand, as well as former doubles partner and probably 4 or 5-time Association Croquet World Championship contender, Marcus Evans. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Ben. It's been a while since I've been in the booth, so privileged to get asked to come back and talk some bollocks, as we'd say, but we'll give it a good nudge. So please make sure that the viewers at home send some questions through to Marcus and I. We're going to try and make as little as the chat about the croquet and more about life as we can, and to try and keep the crowd entertained.
Well, thanks, thanks, Ben. Thanks, everybody. We'll just quickly bring you up to date in case you missed the very start of the game. Mark played blue ball over to the standard position. Reg has gone to the standard position in corner 2, and Mark has just hit his partner and taken off to Reg. But an ooh from Jared for the corner of the lawn I can't see.
He is played it. Looks like a rush towards the west boundary level with hoop 2. So a really good cut. He could actually have a bit of a tonk towards hoop 1 if he wants to. But should at least get it, halfway down the west boundary, and my guess is he'll be setting a good leave. And for those who haven't been following us closely, Mark hasn't done it the easy way to get to the final. He's gone to 5 in his last couple of matches, and sitting down at the dinner table last night was Mark and Reg, and Reg's biggest fear was actually when he went 2-0 up. So that's happened, and can we see a repeat of Mark's endeavours from the last couple of days?
Yeah, and very interesting. I'm a bit surprised, actually, especially given the match score and who he's playing, that Mark didn't put a super shot ball out with his first ball, Jared. He just went for the standard position. And if I was in Mark's shoes, I'd be thinking, well, I'm 2-0 down. I've got nothing to lose. I'm playing one of the best players of all time. I need to really take this by the scruff of the neck. And the fact he didn't, I think, indicates to me that maybe he felt he wasn't shooting very straight, but he then immediately disproved that by hitting on the third turn. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And, he had a really good fifth turn finish in Game 5 against Matthew in the quarters. So, he's certainly a very capable player to do so. I think yesterday he shot really well. Like, he hit a lot of those east boundary short shots. Not as many today as yet, but I'm also thought he might have been a little bit more aggressive. But this is a big shot here. Tough approach coming out of near corner 1, and we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, he's must have played a good rush out of corner 2, which you couldn't see. Unfortunately, come up short with that. I don't think he'll be risking this one.
Yeah, not a disaster. It looks like he'll. He did cut blue and lawn. Oh, he's lining up the hoop.
Well, it is playable, and I don't think he's wrong for backing himself to go for it. But it's disastrous if you miss, because
that
you
happens.
can see why.
and maybe, Marcus, one of the things I need to remember is that I've got to think of the player's ability of Mark and Reg rather than myself, because I'd be happy to even hit the hoop from that distance.
Well, it wasn't that far away, but it was quite angled. You could see from where he was lining it up, he was only a couple of paces outside of corner 1, which indicates it was at least a sort of 30-degree angle. And these hoops are not easy to run from that sort of angle. So he's left Reg what Reg will consider a nice, easy starter.
Yeah, no, I think Reg probably couldn't get a better start, to be fair. And it's been interesting to see, just down in the viewing area before, what the crowd was wanting, and both players extremely popular amongst their peers. We are well respected in the croquet community, but I think it's fair to say that the majority of people were wanting Mark to take this game and probably the following.
I think you're right, absolutely right on both counts. I'm consider myself a long-time friend of both players, as you say, both true gentlemen and great ambassadors for the game, but there's probably at least 200 people in this venue at the moment, and I think it's probably fair to say about 198 of them are hoping Mark makes some sort of comeback. I mean, if nothing else, it's good for the game and the spectators, isn't it? They won't want this to finish too early, but Reg, of course, will be far from thinking that, and What do you think is Reg's chances now of winning the match in this position? Because, he, as you say, couldn't really wish for a better start to this game at this stage, provided he hits this.
He's been pretty clutch so far, but interestingly, we don't often see him re-stalk a shot of 6 and a bit yards.
The wind is quite strong today, as we can see from the great array of country flags. It's just hit it. Not as he wanted, but he's fine. Flags are fluttering quite strongly in the breeze today, so we'll be blowing your swing a little bit off course at times.
And I think just goes over to confirm with, I call him Mupp, for those of you who don't know Mark Avery, one of his nicknames is Mupp or the Muppet. I had the privilege of him, I guess, mentoring me in a variety of life skills back in 2013 and 14 when I had the privilege of living with him for 6 months. So got a few stories, but we'll keep most of those for off here.
We did say we'd try and keep it PG, didn't we? Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So this is going to be, I think, a fairly standard turn for Reg now. He'll be looking to send black to hoop 2. This is Pioneer, obviously getting the other side of red, and he'll have a nice comfortable rush on his partner ball to make hoop 1. And I suppose one possible point of interest, Jared, is whether he will do what he's been doing for most of the tournament, I think all of the tournament, and making 9, or whether possibly he'll try and do what you might term a Matthew Essick and stop at 1 back for a sextuple leave. Yeah,
I think that's really interesting, and I think it's personally, I don't think it's needed. Like I think the increased difficulty of completing that turn to potentially give Mark an easy start, and knowing that all it takes is for him to play a break and 1 mislift from Reg to get right back into the match. I think he'll be pretty conservative. I'm going to be shocked if it's not just a break to 4 back and a max distance spread. And then I think if that happens and Mupp hits, I also reckon that we won't see anything fancy. I'd be surprised if there's going to be a TPO. Yeah. And I thought maybe we might have seen a few more of those, because I think that's potentially a good way to play his way back into the match. But my guess is that we'd just have a ball to 4 back from Mupp. But we've got a bit of time before Reg gets to that stage.
We have. He hasn't done what I expected, actually, what I told you was going to happen after Hoop 1. I can only assume that from the angle of our view, I was misled as to where Black was. I guess maybe Black had stayed directly behind Hoop 1 after he roque'd us, so perhaps he wasn't able to get it anywhere near Hoop 2. That's because I'm sure if he could have got it anywhere past the hoop, he would have done what I suggested. So I think my mistake. He's got a good rush to Hoop 2 and a perfect Hoop 3 Pioneer anyway.
And I think one of the comments that I've heard from multiple players that have had to both verse Reg and watch him is that he's probably had the tightest break play of the event so far. Lots of hoops from 3 to 6 inches, very few from a foot, and he's just been good. But the crowd's certainly been stoked to cheer Mark on his ride, and we'll be hoping for a positive next shot from the Avery. We've just had a new fan come to join us.
I was told to come on up and join the fray.
Yeah, we welcome Tom Balding to the commentary box, and perhaps if you don't mind, Tom, can we get another microphone in here? Is the portable one working so that you can? Not yet. Okay. Well, we'll share this one for the time being. It should be able to pick us up.
Yeah, I have good projection.
Me too. Is it too soon to ask you about playing Zach this morning, Tom? Are you still recovering from that?
The whole week is better left unspoken of.
Well, you did better than me, Tom, so perhaps you're right. We'll leave that aside.
It's just, I think we all understand the feeling of knowing you can do better and just failing to do so.
Exactly.
Every wondering where it all went wrong.
Every croquet player will be nodding in agreement at that, I feel. Yeah, absolutely.
But we have had, while the players had a break for lunch, we will just do a quick whip around the grounds because we've had a few results finalised. So Marcus is just going to bring them up to confirm. But we had the bowl final was played off this morning between young Edmund Fordyce from New Zealand and the seasoned campaigner Stephen Mulliner from England. Reading Mulliner's bio before, incredible 8 McRobertson Shields, and potentially in the running for a 9th, depending on what the UK selectors choose to do. Pretty phenomenal performance. And what was it, 49 consecutive Opens?
Yeah, according to his bio, 49 consecutive British Opens since 1978, and 46 President's Cup appearances, which is selected each year for the top 8 players. Possibly both of those records will be extremely hard to beat, even for players such as Robert and Reg. So interesting. Just want to come back to what you said earlier, Jared, about whether Mark would do a TPO if he were to get in. I think you're right that's potentially, although it's risky, and we haven't seen very many because we've seen so many failures of peeling breaks, and obviously if you fail on peeling your opponent, that's going to put you into a real unlikely to win the game. But maybe 2-0 down, you just got to do something to get back in the match. And Reg is someone who it's good to try and take out of his usual comfort zone of just hitting his shot and doing his break. So it's interesting.
Well, I'm going to mix it up here, Marcus, because we've just had our first question come in from the viewers, and I'm going to send this one your way, Tom.
All right.
Now, less to do with croquet, but we do want to engage the audience. So this one's from a player nicknamed T-shirt, or known as Sam Murray, and Sam wants to know: will there ever be a boy born who can swim faster than a shark? So, Tom, I'm keen to get your opinion on that one.
By natural ability or by some sort of augmentation?
Natural ability.
So I remember there was a Shark Week special many years ago where they tried to simulate Michael Phelps swimming against a shark, and it was a woefully mismatched race.
One-sided affair.
If the GOAT of all swimmers cannot, I highly doubt that we'll see it in our biological life.
Look, I think I probably have to tend to agree with you on that one. So, T-shirt, thanks for the question, and we hope that's answered what you were looking for.
I do remember as well, there was a race between the rugby player Brian Habana and Cheetah, I think, at one point.
I remember
to
that.
see which of those was faster. And again, the animal was way ahead, at least over a short distance.
There was that famous anecdote where Mike Tyson once tried to bribe a zookeeper to let him fist fight a gorilla. Thankfully, the zookeeper said no.
Well, don't know about it, thankfully, but
I guess one of the animal fighting contests we could have is does a springbok beat a lion? And I actually think that's a relatively even match.
in a race or a boxing match?
Well, I think we will go for a boxing match in that one.
There is a saying, isn't there, about if I were to compete in a triathlon against a shark, the shark would beat me at the swimming. I reckon I'd have it on the cycling, so we'll just come down to who's the faster runner at the end of the day. We've been neglecting to update the scores while we've been talking nonsense. Apologies for that. Reg is, as you will see, just approaching hoop 4, so he's 3-0.
You can take that second score off the screen there. We don't need to see that.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how we do that, sorry. Maybe
That's yellow.
the technical guys
Help
can
me, Armando. Help me.
sort that out for us. The top right is, unfortunately, for Tom all over.
It's been about the flavor of the week.
Well, there's always next time. That's the spirit, isn't it? We were going to update you on some of the other competitions.
We started with that.
We
didn't
did, and then I got distracted by some actual croquet.
Talk nonsense.
So,
That score. Oh, he took it off.
We have the results of the Bowl and the Shield. We told you the plate knockout, which started a couple of days ago, has been convincingly won by Duncan Reeve of Scotland, who he seemed to be on the lawn a lot earlier in the week. But when I asked him how he was playing, he said rubbish. So he qualified for the plate, but then has played much better, and he's defeated Sharif Abdel Wahab in 2 games.
And who did he knock out along the way, Marcus?
He took 3 games in beating Brian Lozano, who's had, I think, quite a good tournament. I don't know Brian. Don't know if you know him, Tom, but...
Yeah, so Brian's a good friend of ours. He plays a lot here in the States. He represents Mexico on team events, but he is a club pro here in North Carolina and in Florida. And so he is a GC mainly player, but he has gotten into AC this year, and he had a pretty decent performance at the AC Nationals earlier in the year, and he's done really well here, having some really tough games against some very high-ranked opponents. So so we expect Brian to really become a proficient AC player in the coming months. So.
Yeah, I mean, he defeated Joe King from England 2-0 in the previous round, and Dwayne McCormick. It was a big scalp of his in the first knockout game of the plates. Dwayne has not had a good week, but he's probably, Dwayne feels he's won enough in Australia to be a pretty solid selection for their MAC side next summer.
we were negotiating various team selections as we do, and any of the people who are listening in would love to get your thoughts on any country and who you think their 6 players will be for the MAC next year. And that was definitely the consensus, Marcus, from myself and a few others. I hadn't seen Dwayne play before, so I guess it was a really surprising week. But I think he's got something like 4 of the Aussie national titles in the last 12 months. So just a ridiculously strong player, and I think just an off week. And
Exactly. You can't really do better.
Anyone.
Can't really do better than that. So you wouldn't not pick him just on the basis of an off week for sure. I must admit I haven't paid too much attention to what the other countries have been doing. I've been sort of quite focused on trying to get the best England team that we can, and I must admit I did have thoughts that if I'd had an amazing week and done really well in this event, I possibly could have put myself in contention, but I haven't. So again, I will next time. One player that's really impressed me this week and this season is Jack Good, who's one of the youngest players in the event, possibly the youngest.
20 now?
Still 19,
19,
probably.
Wow.
Still at university. And he's had a phenomenally strong couple of seasons, won lots of tournaments, competed in the strongest level. So personally, he's somebody who I'd quite like to see on the team.
Yeah, Jack was playing at the Solomon team against us in Budley Salterton earlier this summer, and we were very impressed. He played some amazing matches, took down a couple of our players and some very important testers. And so and one of the things I liked to see about that was he was very hard on himself, you could tell, for what he viewed as sloppy play. So even if he would approach a hoop on a rush, if he felt he should get within a yard of it and he was a yard and a half, you could see that there was disappointment. So just holding himself to a very high standard of play, even at as new as he is to AC, maybe relatively speaking, and just that young of an age is really nice to see.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about you two, but I don't get to these events to play very often, just an average hacker. But one thing that has been really enjoyable is just seeing some new faces, getting to an event and there's, for me, several people who I hadn't even met before. And we were trying to guess what the average age of the tournament entry would be. And this might come as a shock. I don't know the actual number, but the consensus was that it's getting lower. And I think that's a great thing to see some young faces, and it's a good thing for the sport.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, we talk about this in terms of when we go to team events. When we went to the McRobertson and when we went to the Open Shaw especially, how young the average age was getting. I mean, if you look at the New Zealand team, you have Felix, you have Logan, you have Levi, and you have Edmund. That's an average age.
24 or something like that.
In the mid-20s.
Yeah.
America, our team is still fairly young. Most of our, we had Blake, who's 18 at the time. Myself, I'm 28. Ben was the oldest at, just over, what have you been, 40? No, he's not listening. And and then Matthew, who's in his mid-20s. So,
25,
there's just,
Kyle, of course.
Kyle wasn't on our open shot team, but Kyle. And Steven was there, and Steven is in his mid-30s. Kyle is also in his late 30s, and then Zach on our AC teams is also in his mid to late 30s. So, but still, the average is well below 40 years old, which for croquet is quite young.
It's good, and we just really important we keep that going, isn't it? And try and keep on bringing young players into the game in their teens, if possible, and 20s, and see if we can just keep that going in the right direction. Absolutely.
And speaking of age gaps, I'm guessing it was probably mentioned earlier today, but for Mupp, the last time he played in a World Championship final, I wasn't born.
Yeah.
Neither was Tom. Marcus had been around for a couple of seasons, but that was, takes it back to 1989, the first ever World Championship. So to, make it into your second one, 36 years apart. We did a little bit of stats digging yesterday, and that has to be a world record for any individual sport as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
And the one that might surprise the crowd is that, I don't think Mupp's changed from when he was...
He also holds a very similar record for his wins in the British Open, I've been told.
Yep.
He does.
It's about the same interval, 36 years.
I think it's exactly the same. He won in 1987 and then competed in it most years since then, but didn't win it again until 2023.
Yeah.
But yes, it's absolutely amazing. And real inspiration. As much as we want the young players to come in and keep on coming in, it's also nice that us ones who are, well, especially myself, who's just turned 40, there's still hope for us to, maybe still get to the top, very top of the game. Anyway, we should update you on Reg. I mean, you can see, as we predicted, or as Jared rightly said, he's no thoughts of a one-back leave, just to, he's going to keep on going, probably to 4-back. Sometimes Reg has been known to stop at 3-back. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but I'm sure you can guess why that might be. He might choose to do that in certain conditions.
And that's maybe one thing that surprised me. I thought we might have seen actually a lot more of that this event. There's been less TPOs, and I thought some of the big boys may have been deliberately stopping at 3-back. But I guess with TPOing being less of a thing, in fact, I don't know, has there been just one in the knockout phase?
Well, none in the knockout, I believe. There's been 3 in the entire event. One by Robert Fletcher in the block, one by Samir Patel, I think, in the bowl. And then yesterday we had an extremely entertaining one by James Hopgood in the Manager's Invitational, which we'll update you on shortly. He started it almost by accident because he had to approach hoop 3 by peeling opponent through 4-back. That was the only way he could get in front of hoop 3. And then he played a fantastic turn to finish it. And then, sadly, as it was getting dark, he was defeated by Mike Gidding of Australia. So that went in the books as an OTP-T because it was on time.
Hoppy would have been fizzing.
He reacted as you might imagine. It's
Full of beans.
We have comments indicating that the colors for the players are wrong because they switch colors.
so
before this
inconvenient
game,
of
so-
them. Yeah, they're quite right. And they're also wrong on the physical scoreboard that we can see at the end of the lawn. Jared, I don't know whether you can
Yeah, you can.
delete. Do you delete the name or do you change the
No,
colour?
no, no, you can just change the color.
Okay, well, Jared's going to try and figure that out and probably make it purple and brown and stuff. But thanks for pointing that out. There's certainly been more errors in the commentary box than there have been on the lawn so far, haven't there? We've got our technical expert.
Rothman's
Ben.
come to save the day. Remember, I
Benjamin Gatherer is here to help us.
teach PE people. I don't need to learn how to read or know colours, so I'm going to leave the IT stuff for the experts.
There was a joke about that, wasn't there, in Red Dwarf, which is a British sci-fi series from the sort of late 80s, early 90s. It contains a supercomputer with an IQ of 6,000, and he gets something minor detail wrong, and they say, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be super intelligent?" He goes, "What? It's only the same IQ as 12,000 PE teachers."
Yeah, it's pretty good. And well, speaking of IQs, that reminds me of a story of one of our finalists actually. Now,
For some reason it's not overlaying on the screen itself.
so I'm not going to say which player because the crowd can guess, but I remember having a discussion with them asking them what they thought their IQ was, and the player came back to me and said, "Oh, I reckon I'm probably about 70," and he followed that up with a statement of, "Well, actually 70 out of 100, I think that's quite good." So I'll leave that up to you for whether you think
That's
that
when
was
you look at
Mup
someone
or
and
whether
go-
that was Reg.
That's when you look at someone and go, let's make that 65.
Yeah. Reg is safely through 2-back. He's got the balls absolutely perfect.
Yeah, colors are still wrong, but that's all right.
Yep, yeah, I got it. Change it on the other.
Benjamin Gatherer, step it up.
Absolutely perfect position for the diagonal spread. In fact, Black is almost in perfect position already, sort of about four shots early, because he's got, I think I'm right in saying, 4 more opportunities to adjust the position of Black, should he wish to. He may be so good he doesn't even need to bother. It depends. When you've got this good control, you can decide how diagonal you want your diagonal spread to be. Can you explain what I mean by that, Tom?
Yeah, so typically if you set your diagonal a bit flatter, meaning just straight across the lawn from the midpoints of the east and west boundary, it's considered a little bit more defensive. You're encouraging the B-balk shot, so from the corner 3, which will obviously guarantee that you have to start a delayed triple unless you want to play any sort of large Hogan rolls, which Reg did do earlier in the block stage. We did see him do a half Hogan to roll opponent up to hoop 3 as going to partner, which he had at the hoop. But it does mean that if the opponent hits down that long shot, they're going to have a slightly harder build, especially if they hit anywhere near in the middle and drive that ball down towards the corner. If you aren't worried as much about them hitting in and you just want to give yourself an easier start and maybe encourage them to give you an on time, then you're going to have the leave be a lot more diagonal, meaning the opponent ball that you're going to leave out deep is going to be much more up by hoop 2, and the 2 balls that you leave on the east boundary will be much closer to hoop 4 than they are to the peg.
Exactly right.
One thing that surprised me, I guess, again, that I haven't seen is that, especially with spreads, there's been like a lack of popping. And I thought that, particularly with Reg's control, I was intrigued to see if, knowing that he has his peg ball often really tight, that if that was the hoop one ball, that added factor of that ball not being able to rush to two.
Yeah, so Reg Maynard, as we have just been quietly informed by someone who knows him well, Reg is generally not about popping. So, and I know there are some top players. I know Stephen Mulliner, I believe, has spoken that he doesn't really find the value in popping in most circumstances, that most top players, given fairly straightforward conditions, should still be able to get a triple going, even if their other clip is for hoop 3, if you manage to get 2 pops.
That's right.
It's much more valuable popping if sextuples are on the table, if the conditions are easy enough where you believe the opponent will. In fact, I believe there's a great video of James Deeth popping Reg through hoops 1 and 2 because his other ball was for hoop 7 after setting a T-lady leave.
Yep.
And so, obviously there have been 0 sextuples in this event. There was only one attempt that I'm aware of in the block by Sharif Abdul-Wahab, and he got all the peels but didn't get the peg out.
Seriously?
Did he really? I didn't know.
That's what I've been told. I didn't witness it, but that's what I was reported. And so, Reg at this point, knowing that there's 0 chance that Mark Avery is going to be attempting any sextuples, or has even a thought about it, I don't think he's terribly concerned about losing the control of his break by trying to pop a hoop or 2.
Exactly. You're always putting your break more at risk by doing that. And
That's
particularly
average for him. Or is he? Oh, no, he's going straight to red. I
He
take that
doesn't-
back.
He doesn't. Well, as I called a couple of hoops ago, he doesn't need to touch black again. He feels it's already in his ideal spot. The other thing about popping is that when your opponent is clips for 1 and 1, popping one of their balls to hoop 3 doesn't necessarily help you because they'll probably just play their hoop 3 ball and go to 4 back, and then they're still 1 and 4 back, right? I think Robert Fulford did once have a turn where he popped both opponent balls to hoop 3 in the same break, which is pretty impressive. Again, nothing like that's going to be attempted this week.
And Fulford did have in the knockout phase against Ben, he did, in that third game, he did pop Ben to hoop 3 and then set a very defensive lead with Ben's hoop 1 ball just out in the middle of no man's land. Well, sorry, Ben's hoop 3 ball out in the middle of no man's land because his other ball was for 4 back. And he put the other 3 balls on the west boundary. His ball is just outside of corner 2, and the 4-back ball with a single ball shot on the line about halfway down. And Ben somehow was able to hit and finish off of that and do the triple.
Well, finishing off that, hitting off that is more likely because it's a shorter shot, but finishing is extremely impressive, and that's exactly what the lever is designed to avoid. But especially in these conditions, that's a favourite of Rob's to do that. I think he was actually probably the inventor of that tactic. One of the many innovations he's brought to this wonderful game. Now, just going back to what we were saying earlier about diagonal spreads, I think I quite like where Reg is looking for this. Although, for me, I think I would actually aim this a little further south. The point of being further south, as you said earlier, Tom, that's more aggressive as the striker because you're encouraging the shorter shot effectively, but you're also saying, well, if you miss this, I'm definitely going to finish off with a standard triple. So it's always good to put doubt in your opponent's mind when they're taking any kind of shot, isn't it, if you can?
Yeah, and obviously players at this level, and Mark has shown it even this week, he's going to hit a certain percentage of these no matter how long or short you leave it. You're just going to have good swings. But it does tempt fate a little bit to leave it too short and say, well, if he might nick a 15-yarder, and he might miss a 17-yarder.
Correct.
Because you just need it to go past just by a hair's breadth. So, if I'm Reg right now that Mark hasn't had a lot of lawn time and he had a breakdown in his first game and that has to still be on his mind, I would be giving him a shorter shot to try and get all the balls together.
Yeah.
I would be saying, all right, let's see what you got. It's do or die.
But Jared, what do you think Reg's win percentage for the match is at this point, and what do you think it'll be if Mark misses his next shot? Because that could be his last.
Oh, that's a tough one. If Mupp misses, I think Reg is 90, high 90s to win. If Mupp hits the shot, Reg is obviously still a strong favourite, but I guess I've got a lot of faith in Mupp. I think if it gets to 2-1, those little bits of doubt start creeping into your mind, and I I guess we'll know more in about a minute's time. Mupp's not a slow player. He knows what he's going to do. It is no surprise to me that he's heading to Abork.
Yeah.
And he's just got to back himself here.
Well, he's looking. He hasn't decided yet. What would you do, Tom?
You know, at this point in the match, I'm going to just shoot the short shot. I don't believe Reg will not finish either way.
Agreed.
Put that ball into corner 4. You know, given what Reg has already done in the first 2 games and given how confident he looks, there's a lot of opponents where maybe you can say, all right, a ball in corner 4, a delayed triple, and maybe the heels aren't coming as easy as, they are in other events. Try it, but I would take the shortest available shot and the easiest one to build my break because I can't afford to just hope that he has a breakdown. I have to hit.
I do agree with you. The only thing I'd say against that is that the way he's laid the lead, it does look quite horizontal, which means the short shot isn't
Black
a
or
huge
blue.
amount shorter. You think he's going to shoot blue or black from here? From A-ball?
I was intrigued about, to me, lifting blue and going to B-Bork. Lifting black and going to B-Bork, shooting
okay.
at blue.
That's super
I thought it
aggressive,
might have
yeah.
been 4 yards shorter than his current.
Yeah, that's your hyper-aggressive option, because if you miss that, you really have given away absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Now this,
And that's one of those, interesting mental games you play with yourself where you say, well, am I really betting on myself to hit? Do I believe because you can say, oh, well, if I miss, it's the end of the world. But if you miss any of these.
lines it up,
Yeah.
strikes. Oh, bit of a twist.
Yeah.
No,
He didn't like it from
it's
the get-go.
gone.
No, through the middle.
So,
So I agree with your assessment, Jared, that Reg is probably now 90% to win this match. And we're being shown from our expert statistician that Reg is on a 14-game triple peel streak. In other words, in addition to the 2 he's just had in this match, he's had 12 in a row prior to that. Actually, I don't doubt that for a second, but I'm interested in fact-checking it on the Croquet scores. And yes, I can see he, of course, yesterday beat Logan 3-0 with three triples, one after the other. The day before, he similarly beats Stephen Forster with 3 triple peels, one after the other. And the day before, he beat Jose Riva with 3 triples, one after the other. And maybe we're just starting to get that stage of the tournament where fatigue and stress is just catching up with Mark a little bit, who's had a much tougher route to the final in terms of lawn time and games than Reg has.
yeah, he had that first match against Andrew Johnston, which was grueling in the round of 16. And it took the entirety of the round of 16 day and then into the next morning. And then he came back in the afternoon as a completely different looking player than Matthew. And he played Matthew really, really well until the late evening. But, at this point, you have to be thinking he also had a super long match against Robert, where they had 2 games and then he won in 3 straight, and that went on into the late evening. So a little bit of wear and tear that he's taken along the way. Reg has managed to put most of his matches away shortly after or before lunchtime.
Yeah.
And has sort of been able to relax a little bit more these last few days. So the energy levels might just be slightly different.
In fact, Reg even won his first game 2-0 with 2 triple peels in a row. So doesn't that make it a 16-game triple? Or am I miscounting?
I'd actually like to go back to the starting point. And now this is actually probably where it all kicked off for Reg. Some of you may not be aware, but Reg actually needed to win his final block game to guarantee his qualification in the event. Playing against David Houston from Scotland.
Very nice man. Yeah.
Grade 1561. And kudos to David. He actually had Reg under the pump with a long hit-in early in the game, and he'd made his first couple of hoops. And then, Reg went into the clutch mode after an error, and that's where it's begun. So 1 against David, 2 against Reitz, 3 against Jose, 3 against Fozzie, 3 against Logan, and 2 against Mupp so far.
So I couldn't count properly there. So it is 14. And Ben's just indicating on his fingers exactly how many that was, because I apparently couldn't count it correctly. So thank you for that. You'd be a brave man to bet against Reg at this point, both in terms of winning the match and also simply in terms of finishing with yet another triple peel, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Now we've had another one from the crowd, fellas. I'm going to actually direct this to both of you. Now, this is from Luke Ribe back in New Zealand. Luke will be hoping to attend his first AC Worlds in New Zealand in 2027.
All right.
He was one of our most improved AC player in 2024. He won our second 8 last year. So just a generally good guy, to be fair. And He wants to know from both of you, what noise do you think that the hoops are making as the ball goes through? If it catches the wire, he wants a comparison.
Thump.
So that was the... Can we get that one again, please, Tom?
Thump.
Okay, and Marcus, for you?
I thought it was more of a... No, that's a ball on a ball, isn't it? Yeah. No, Thomas is probably wins that one. I thought it was going to be another animal question, so I was getting ready to do a donkey noise or something like that, which is what I do if I stick in yet another hoop. So I know that sound very well, and I feel like I should have done that better.
So can we just? Reg did something that I haven't seen a lot of players do. Is off of the short shot, he actually tapped his partner ball that he had a rush on to then take off back behind opponent to leave his partner there, which does make getting the on time setup a little bit easier.
Exactly, because it means he hasn't sent his partner ball to hoop
But
two.
I don't think I can recall seeing anyone do that.
No, it's a very good point, nor can I. I'm sure there must be players that do, but...
If I may interject, that was actually something Jenny Clark suggested to me a couple of years ago, that is a great way to build. And the roll, if you have to roll partner to 3 from there, it's so wide that it's almost a full roll to load 3 going to 2. A lot shorter than that Hogan roll, a lot less furniture in the way. And it's a lot lower risk. If you miss position at 1, you bail back to partner.
So Reg has ended up with having to do a cut rush and came up just a bit short. He's 2 yards now due east of the hoop. Shouldn't give him too much trouble, but you know that he's not happy with it.
Yeah, exactly. These kind of shots, even for the very best players, are always a little bit nervy because you do have to judge the speed very precisely. It's easy to leave it short or to just slide past.
Yeah, coming across the face of a hoop from a couple of yards when you're looking for really precise position. And he's come up just a touch short. It's still very makeable, but, just you see right there, he wanted that to go at least another 6 inches.
Yeah, we're getting a great shot from the camera angle there to see exactly, and a fantastic split screen view to really judge the angle. I don't think he'll be too worried about this stroke. I think
No.
safely through very shortly.
But I know that if you were to ask him, he would say, "Oh, that was kind of poor,"
He might.
which just speaks to the level of precision that he demands of himself.
I wonder if I wasn't watching him, which I should have been, but sometimes you'll see Reg, after a shot he's not happy with, put his hand to his head and then take it away and do a sort of throwaway motion with the same hand. Do you know what that's about?
Yeah, so he's talked about this. He wipes, if he has a bad shot that he feels like would have an opportunity to maybe stick in his head or cause some doubts, he will wipe his forehead and throw it away as a conscious sort of mental effort to remind himself to forget about it, that it's over, that he made the shot, and he just has to deal with it going forward. So just one of those little mental tricks that Reg employs to be able to keep himself poised under pressure when he's in these tense matches.
Exactly. I don't know if the score's not updating, but whether we can fix that for you viewers. He's safely through hoop 1, and of course his other ball is for 4 back. He didn't stop at 3 back. I sort of hinted that I've seen him do that some tournaments in the past, but as we said, triple peels on the opponent are so difficult in these conditions that he didn't feel necessary.
All right, and a quick word from our sponsor. It's the 9125 Fruit Company, now offering bananas without a peel. No peels? No problem. From 9125 Fruit Company.
Thank you, Ben.
Spoken like a true gatherer.
Now, I was just looking, now we've firmly established Reg is on a run of 14 consecutive triple peels. I thought I'd have a look at Chris Williams' excellent Croquet Records site and the world rankings, because this is one of the things that he keeps stats on is what's the maximum number of games that Reg has had triple peel or better finish, and I'm slightly surprised to find the answer is 14 in 2025. In other words, this is his record run of the most triple peels and wins in a row.
Really?
Which, I find it surprising, knowing his record, that he may have had longer in the past, but apparently not.
Well, it's probably true that he has always been very good at. It's true that he's very good at sextuples, and so he's probably, if he's feeling that good and on that good of a streak, and the conditions are easy enough, he's probably foregoing triples in some games to try and pursue sextuples, which may have artificially stymied some of those potential runs. If he had ever set his mind to it in certain conditions, he probably could do a lot more.
Correct. And another interesting stat that I'll let you have a guess at, Jared, is what do you think Reg's record number of consecutive wins? So forgetting whether he's done a triple or not, what's his best consecutive win run, do you think?
Oh.
And for a bonus point, in which year did that occur? I think this is a very difficult question if you haven't looked it up before.
My guess, from memory, someone got to nearly 60. So I'm going to say that Reg is somewhere in the 30s. I think that would be a very, very good effort considering the caliber of players that he plays against.
I'm going to guess around the same, and I'm going to guess the year was 2008 or 2009.
Well, you're both very close on the number. According to this, it's actually 28 games in a row, but the year surprised me, 1988.
Wow.
So right at the start of Reg becoming a real top player, and it surprises me that he hasn't had more runs since then, but probably for a similar reason to what Tom said, that in his prime, which has been most of the time since then, he will be playing against top players more often, right? And of course, it's very hard to put together an unbeaten streak when you're playing other players in the world top 20 or 10.
Yeah, because you'll have matches that are best of fives, and it's not uncommon to lose at least one or two of those games, even if you do win all of those matches. So,
Exactly.
he's done very well to escape unscathed in most of his knockout matches, but one or two different shots, things can go very differently for you. So
it looks like his record run ended in 1988 in the South African Open Championship. So this was before he moved to England. And the player who beat his streak was someone called Andrew Knox, who I'd never heard of, but well done, Andrew. If you're still around.
It's a good knock. So here's one I'll be interested to get the both the crowd's thoughts and both of you. And I know the turn hasn't been completed yet, but on the assumption that this turn is finished, does this take Reg to the GOAT? For people not familiar with that term, the greatest of all time. Very, very, very difficult to compare across the different eras of the game. But I think it's hard pressed to say anyone could be above him with the results that he's had in both codes and the quantity of titles. So I'd be interested to get your thoughts, and then keen to get a bit of I guess some feedback from the viewers.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great question. It's always fun to debate this in any sport, isn't it? Croquet is no exception. If he finishes this turn, he'll draw level with Robert Fulford on number of association croquet world titles. But if you're going to consider golf croquet, then of course he's one of the very few players to have won that world title as well. And yes, I think it's fair to say that that puts him perhaps fractionally above Robert Fulford on that measure. Whether some of our younger players like Matthew Essick and Robert Fletcher and all these other people who are challenging can never match that remains to be seen. They've got a long way ahead of them. But I think even Robert Fulford might have to acknowledge that his win of the Golf Croquet World Championship, which, by the way, was an extraordinary match, it does put him probably just at the top. But Reg himself would equally acknowledge that, as I alluded to earlier with the pop leave that we talked about, Robert Fulford has been perhaps more of an innovator in the game with bringing new tactics and things.
yeah, it's always difficult. I think that you're looking at two different very good players with two different very good sets of skills. So Reg has always been, the technician. He's always been the one who could execute all of the shots at the highest level of consistency. And then Robert Fulford was definitely the person who was more like the mind of the game, like brought the game to a new place and forced people to have to think about it differently and play differently. So, it's interesting to think about what we value more, and obviously winning is important, and Reg has the wins in golf croquet that Robert Fulford does not have. If he wins this game here, he will be tied with Fulford in AC wins. So, but I would say, if we're saying overall greatest of all time, probably. If you're dividing it by codes, like who's the best golf croquet player ever, who's the best AC player ever, I might still give Fulford the edge in AC just because of all of those tactical contributions and the way he shaped the game. Like we all play strategies now because Fulford found them.
Yeah,
and
including Reg.
Including Reg. And so, but if we're talking overall, I don't think there's been a single player who's as dominant in these high-level events throughout history as Reg.
Yeah, and it's worth remembering that Reg, coming into this event and coming into the knockout, was only seeded number 6, which is the lowest that he will have been seeded at a world championship for at least 30 years, I would estimate. And he probably himself would feel he maybe wasn't in his best form. I don't think he's played an event this season. In fact, I can double check that. This is his first event of the entire year.
Crazy.
prior to this, he last played in the Open Championship, British Open Championships 2024.
Well, he's probably been spending a lot of time on the practice court, as much as he can get.
Yeah, I would expect so. Yeah, some viewers will know that Reg actually has in the basement of his London home a hoop set on the floor where he can practice hoop strokes and enough space to get a decent shot in. So he can play in all weathers, even in the UK. But yeah, how much he's been doing that, I don't know. Of course, he's got so many years of practice and experience built in that he's the sort of player that can play well at any time. But it's a surprise, I think, to see him be so ruthlessly consistent, especially in these knockout rounds against some of the world's best other players.
100%. And for those people who, I know a lot of the viewers would be aware of this already, but this is Reg's, I believe, 6th AC World Championship final. Currently, he won 4 of those, and his only defeat came in 2018 to a absolutely brilliant match against a fellow friend in Kiwi and Paddy Chapman. Took him out in 5, and it came down to the last lift. And we're excited that Wellington is going to be the region that's hosting the next World Champs. And if you're ever visiting Kelburn, head up to the fish and chip shop just past the club and ask for a Lad Wine Burger. They go down a real treat. That certainly helped me get through the 2018 Worlds. So Reg up to his 4-back peel now, looking in pretty good control. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, he's managed to put blue up against the wire of hoop 6. And the only thing, he'll have to play. He would like if he had a slightly better Pioneer. I think at 5, he might want to try to roll yellow over. I saw him play that shot earlier in the week, but I think with black being where it is and that hoop 5 potentially being a problem in the line, I think he's just going to sacrifice moving yellow over now and try to get a rush on it later.
I completely agree. I like the roll shot if I've got black 1 yard to the east of hoop 5, because then you've got quite a big area you can land in to rush it in front. But here, as you say, hoop 5's right in the way, so I think he's making a smart choice here.
Yeah, and he's been having so much control around these hoops. I'm feeling he's pretty confident that if he gets decent shape on black, that he'll be able to get a rush back up towards corner 3 here.
Isn't that a little wide?
Yeah, he's looking at it like he's not entirely thrilled with how that went. I think it drifts a little bit through the middle there.
Could have been wind affected as well, possibly.
Could have been. We see the direction of the flags is sort of going in the direction that the ball was trailing.
Yeah.
So, but he should still get good control out of this hoop.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, I think it's fascinating watching the elite players when the mere mortals think, oh, yeah, that's a pretty good shot. Would be happy with that. It's what you've mentioned, Tom. It's that expectation of precision, having something that was over a foot as the rush. That's not the standard that he's hoping for. And it's crazy how quickly this game, one poor stroke can just lead to things unraveling.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's a game of small percentages, and so you get 5% off here on one shot, and then another 5% off on the next one, and then before long you're facing a 60-40 hoop shot.
That's right. Well, you can think of it the other way as well sometimes, can't you? In that if you play 3 or 4 shots poorly in a row, that will probably be a breakdown. You only need one of them to go right. But yeah, that's what happens to us lesser mortals so often, and Reg kind of nearly always eliminates that from his game.
It just does the basics so well and just so consistently. And I'm gonna be stepping out of the commentary booth soon to let Ben come back in to close out as one of the main anchors of the event. So again, I wouldn't consider myself a fat lady, and I know I'm not singing, but I am going to assume that Reg is going to finish. So if that does happen, a massive congratulations to Reg, and also a big commiserations to Mupp. I know a lot of the Croquet world loves you dearly, and I think it's been an incredible performance to get to this stage with some epic 5-match wins. So Mupp, if you do take home the silver at the end of this match, we're all proud of you and we all love you, mate. And just another really classy performance from Reg. So Tom, Marcus, it's been real being back in the booth. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Jared.
And I'll say kia ora to everyone back home, especially the AC club teams. We had an absolute thriller. Just a shout out to the doubles match yesterday that my local Waireka team was ahead 5-2 on time and had a loss 6-5 in the doubles. So keep your eye on the AC club teams. It's New Zealand's equivalent of the counties. There are some pretty high intensity matches going on in day 3, the decider right now. But this is game 5, game 3, the decider of the final, and here's Ben back in the house.
I'm going to take this opportunity to step out as well and leave Ben and Tom to it. So as Ben takes his seat, I'll just, I can't say enough how much I've enjoyed this event. It's been, I think I've enjoyed all my World Championships, but this has probably been the best of them all. It's a fantastic venue, great people, amazing staff, amazing volunteers. Thank you all. And I'm going to sign off for now and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Jared and Marcus.
Welcome back, Benjamin.
We're actually going to be joined by our third teammate, the 2022 and 2024. What were the 2 years you were in the finals? 2020 and 2023.
Yeah. 22, he won the GC.
World champion finalist in these AC World Championships, Matthew Essick. So welcome, Matthew.
Thank you very much, Ben.
All right,
Happy to be back.
Before we get too deep into things, we're a little bit behind on some comments. There was some discussion earlier about who was the GOAT between Fulford and Reg. And Chris Williams in here with some stats saying Reg has never won the President's Cup. Robert has won it 12 times. So just, and they were, part of this discussion was, best overall croquet player versus maybe best AC or best GC.
Well, the President's
croquet
Cup
player.
is like their top 8 for selecting the UK and English team. Does Reg play that every time? Because he's certainly not declared himself a English, test player. So
Keith Ayton says Reg once got 1 in 14 in the President's Cup.
okay, so I guess he plays it like we have Brian Cumming occasionally play our selection 8s, even though I don't think he's ever been a selector. He's certainly not eligible to play on our team. But yeah, I guess they have Reg for the competition. I think maybe a good metric would also be the Opens themselves. I know Robert and Reg have each won the British Opens in AC a ton, and in the GC Opens, it's basically been Reg or Stephen Mulliner. I don't know that Robert's won that, but certainly not as many times as Reg. Matthew, before this tournament, you had a pretty solid opinion about who the GOAT was. Who was that before these 2025 AC World Championships?
I think it's Rich. I think that, the ability to win in both codes and perform at such a high level in both codes is incredible. And, I think Fulford definitely made a strong case winning the last AC World Championship and taking one over on Reg, but it looks like Reg is going to have a chance to equalize here.
Yeah, and getting to the GC World Championship final against you in 2023. So Robert was in both code finals very recently.
Yeah.
But
Beating Reg in the semi to get there.
Yeah, even with that, you had pretty much already made up your mind that Reg was the GOAT and Robert had some work to do. And now Reg is on the cusp of tying Robert in the AC World Championship title. Tom, do you have a strong opinion about the Croquet GOAT?
Part of the discussion we were having earlier was, I think before today I was more torn just because I know Fulford doesn't play nearly as much GC, and I would have given him the edge in AC. I might still, just because we mentioned like how the modern game has been so influenced by Fulford's tactics, and it's basically there was the game before Fulford, and then everything that's happened since then is because he came up with all of the things that we do now.
Absolutely.
And, Reg has always been the better technician, the better executor, physically speaking. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's also so dominant in golf croquet. It's just he's the most machine-like in his hitting. But, I guess the question for me still comes down to what do we value more, right? Like we're winning world championships. Yes, that's obviously a very important factor, but the contribution to the game and the way that you influence the game, by how dominant you are, also matters. So I think it just depends on the way you look at it. I would say Reg is the best overall croquet player.
Yeah, I mean, there's the fun part about this that is enjoyable. I'm a big sports fan, mainly American sports, but the fun part about it is always having the conversation, and it's fun to go back and forth with people about what you think, and you can make a case for either one of these guys. I mean, the one thing you can say about Fulford is, his MAC success. He's had an opportunity to perform well on team events and in team events and be the top player in team events and have the best record in the MAC. have the most wins, have all these records that he holds in the MAC that Reg has none of. Now, part of that is due to the fact that he represents South Africa, and so he hasn't played in a MAC. But you can't take that away from Robert for the fact that he has had that success in team events with the best players in the world as well. So, we can talk about the golf croquet success for Reg and use that to bolster up his case, but also we can do the same for Fulford with, all of the maneuvers and different tactics that Fulford has come up with, as well as his MAC success to bolster his case. So
yeah, I don't think we're the experts on exactly what Robert's contributions were. That's probably better for Chris Williams, David Mom, Chris Clark to tell us, even Reg to tell us what things he developed. But I know a few things. Do you guys know what things Robert did before anybody else that have now become pretty standard?
Someone mentioned. Okay, I was watching the AC Opens video where they were watching British Open, sorry, and then Fulford was playing, and and Chris Clark was commentating, and he mentioned that to his knowledge, and maybe there was one before him, that Fulford was the first really high level player who had a casting swing. That before him, that no one really casted. It was all just more like plant your mallet, take your swing,
The settling swing.
right? So if that is true, then that's a very huge contribution.
Yeah,
and
I hadn't heard that one. Yeah.
I hadn't either, and there was maybe one other name mentioned that was could be maybe thrown into that debate who was casting first, but of all the players who've achieved that sort of high level of success, he believed Fulford was first one. Popping, I believe, was mentioned earlier today that Fulford was the first player to really establish popping tactics.
I think some of that is in the Wiley book. It was before Fulford's time, but yeah, the modern pop to 3-and-3. I think that was nobody touched that before Fulford.
Yeah,
where you get 4 pops or 3 or 4 pops and set these uber defensive leaves.
Yeah, I think another thing, just overall, if you look at Reg's game, he does the same thing over and over again, but he does it at an extremely high level. And the one thing about Fulford that I think is so unique is that you get these leaves and defensive positions on the lawn that are unique in every situation. And it's almost like he has a bookmark in his head for, okay, if the clip positions are this and this, I'm going to go with one of these 2 defensive leaves that give me a lot if they miss, but they give up very little if they hit.
Or even if they don't give him a lot, they give him enough. And he's practiced building from these really difficult positions, whether it gives him a cannon or gives him, a rush to a corner ball or a line ball or a jawsed ball that makes the opponent's build so much tougher. And he has practiced them. So even if it involves, getting a rush on a corner ball that is, corner 2 when he's in corner 4, or rolling up hoop 1 from a hoop 5 jawsed ball, it's not like something he made up that day. He's literally practiced for that.
Yes.
So that he's prepared to take on those difficult builds when you are seeing the lead for the first time.
Richard Hilditch also mentions that the President's Cup is not for team selection.
Okay, but it is their top 8.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you also have the fact that you look at Reg and the amount of games he's played and the amount of TPOs that he's tried. It's just not a part of his game.
A grand total of 29 successful TPOs, 9 OTPs.
Yeah, and
in 1,800, nearly 1,900 games.
Exactly, and if you look at that number, you see that it's not something that Reg is using as a tactic. And I think Fulford is one of the best 2 versus 1 players ever, whether he's the 2 balls or the 1, and it's due to adapting to using that as a part of his game. And so I think overall, I would say that Fulford has all of the parts of the game down. I think Reg just executes, as Tom mentioned, at just such a high level what we all are trying to do, whether it be sextuple peels or triple peels. His execution is just the best we've ever seen. And
he
so
keeps
that's
the
what
game
makes him-
simple.
Bingo.
Fulford, because of his depth of knowledge and his ability, tries to make the game difficult for his opponent.
Yeah, I
Reg
remember
is a specialist at just keeping the opponent out and just executing everything he does very simply.
I remember 2 specific situations where one, I'm pretty sure Fulford created the 3-duck sleeve. I'm not sure about the super shot, but he created the 3-duck sleeve and then wrote an article regretting it. He wrote an article about how the super shot is, a poor leave unless you're going to try to run the 3rd turn break. And then he also, when they switched to super advanced, they quickly kind of solved the questions about people began, if they were facing 1 and 4 back clips, the TPO became obligatory. So then players solved that by stopping at 3 back. And so then the quad attempt on your own partner became obligatory. And Robert innovated and set, I think it's a reverse diagonal with 2 balls so tight to the peg that they can't hit each other. It's a crosswire where they're wired on the Robert's balls, which are on the west boundary at kind of max distance, but 2 balls each like within a yard of each other that can't hit each other and can't hit his balls. So it prevents you shooting away toward corner 4, allowing him to build the sextuple in a super advanced game. And when they first started that at Surbiton, the very first year, Reg was on lawn 1 at Surbiton, which is near the tennis courts, kind of, I think it's west side of Surbiton. And they have like 7 lawns in a row. And Robert was on lawn 7. And Reg, I think his opponent got going first or was trying to build. And Robert on lawn 7 got his first break going. And you see Reg walk from lawn 1 to lawn 7 to see Robert's leave. The very first super advanced games. And Robert does this crosswire at the peg with a diagonal spread to get a sextuple going. You see Reg come back, his opponent, like, I think they broke down, hit in, ran around, set the exact leave Robert was setting. Reg himself will tell you, Robert's the innovator. Robert is the brains behind these tactical sort of evolutions of the game. And for a long time, that made Robert my GOAT. I think he's the greatest of all time. His execution ain't too bad, you guys.
Yeah.
No,
He's got
that's the thing. All these innovations only work if you can do them.
ton of sextuples, ton of these crazy difficult builds off these defensive leaves. But it's really hard to argue against Reg now. If he's tied him in what is Robert's kind of strong suit, which was the 6 AC World Championships, and even with Robert going to the finals and battling valiantly against Matthew, including beating Reg in the GC semis, it's really hard to contend with Reg being the only one to win both codes. And nearly uniting the two. Like, they were not many years apart. It's not like he had an AC era and then he had a GC era. It's like, no, he's winning them all around each other. I think I have the years for his AC World Championships are 2001, 2005, 2009, which we won't talk about, 2012, 2020, and then
Which
the
we won't
GC,
talk
the GC World Championships. What years were that? He had 20. There was the one in Egypt against Ahmed Nasser, his GC World Championships.
That was like 2015 or something, or
2014.
2014.
Or 2014 was a MAC. 2014 maybe. But yeah, so that was he won the AC Worlds in 2012. Like, these were not different eras. It wasn't like in his youth he was great at GC and then he is now good at AC. This is all happening contemporaneously. He's doing these things at the same time, and it's just really hard to contend with a player. I'm quite glad we don't, honestly, have to contend with him at the MAC.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I think we're all 3 of us are excited for the possibility to get a chance to play Robert Fulford. This will be my 3rd MAC team.
I don't know if he'll slip to my spot.
This will be my 3rd MAC team, but getting a chance for Fulford to represent England again in a MAC after a break, and getting a chance to play him on that stage in a team event, and just kind of see him in that environment is going to be exciting. And I think everyone is kind of buzzing around about just the fact that all 4 teams are in a strong position to contend, and I think in a stronger position to contend than ever. So it's going to be an exciting event in London next year.
All right, you can see he's got a little excited here. He's only got 1 peel left, and he really clubbed that black ball past penalt. So he needs yellow to be in good position now, because he doesn't really have black in a good position to tidy up yellow after 4 back. So I assume he's got to get yellow in good position now. But 1 peel, 3 hoops, again, 14 game peel streak. Yeah. And now a grand total of 939 triples. This is quite likely to finish. So yeah, about the MAC team, we know Edmund Fordyce, a former New Zealand McRob player, he lost to Stephen Mulliner today in 2 games. That might bode well for Mr. Mulliner making the team, but I know there's also a lot of talk of Jack Good, maybe Harry Fisher rounding out the English team. I know they've possibly replaced Christian Carter with Robert Fulford. I'm not sure if Christian's been playing much this year or in contention. We have... Who else rounds out that team?
I think they have 5 locks, which is Fulford, Birch, Avery, Deeth, Samir Patel, and then whoever the sixth person is, probably between Mulliner, Jack Good, and Harry Fisher. There's they had a MAC winning team last time around with 4 of those same guys, and then they had no Fulfords. They had Christian Carter, and then they had Harry Fisher as the sixth. And so, Harry might be back on that team. Who knows what the English team decides to do? But, you definitely are getting a Christian Carter swap with Robert Fulford. And, Christian Carter played at a good MAC, but I think it's going to be a big difference having Robert Fulford back on the team and, taking care of that 1-2 spot.
With Jamie, probably world number 2, Jamie Birch.
Yeah,
the one.
So
he started off at the 3-4 at that MAC, right? But then he just kept winning, so they put him at the 1-2 by the end.
Yeah, the last week he played the 1-2, which ended up being pretty cool. Where he played Robert Fletcher in the last match, last singles, to go 15-0 against the world number 1. So, but it's it's one of those things. One of the things I'm most excited about is they've changed part of the requirements in the MAC. Is it used to be 100 points difference. You could swap players around. And with that swap, there could be no appeal by the other team. Anything more than 100, you could appeal it. But now it's 50. And so it allows for less option to move people around and kind of change it up. So
Keith Aiton asks who's going to be on the American team.
It's a great question. We'll let you know November 9th when we select that team.
Yep, it's coming up soon. There's 3 of us sitting here that feel like we have a pretty good chance to make that team, and then we have 3 other spots that we'll see where they go. So we're excited. It's going to be a good team that we're looking forward to.
You got it, Hum?
I got it.
All right. So as Reg is getting closer and closer, again, he's putting all these balls in spots just to avoid catastrophe. So hoop and Croquet is not bad. The real problem is making the hoop and ending up hampered. So he may not be able to get the ball as far down as he likes, but with yellow so close to Rover, you don't need 2 balls behind the hoop, the 2 opponent balls. But I think he would have liked it just to have 1 more helper in case he dribbles through to a weird position on the Rover peel. I'd like to make sure that we thank our sponsors as this is coming to a close. A great major support is provided to this tournament by the W.P. Carey Foundation, doing good while doing well, and the Palm Beach Sports Foundation, just bring your game. We have 4 major sponsors, and those are PFC Hoopmaker Mallets, when only the best will do, bestcroquetmallet.com, introducing the Formula One mallet, Oakley Woods mallets for all your croquet needs, including those pegs people were asking about, at croquetstore.com, White Tie Croquet, dress to conquer, play to win, because better-looking clothes make better-looking players. WhiteTieCroquet.com, and Invictus Croquet, proud sponsor of the 19th Association Croquet World Championships. So, Matthew, what chances do you think are the finish here? If you had like a win percentage, what percentage does this game alone go to Reg finishing?
You can hear it. I think right now we're looking at 85, 90%. As soon as this peel goes through, I'm putting it at 95 to 99. He's I don't think he's going to have any trouble with this. It looks like it's, just slightly left of center. I don't think he's going to have any trouble whatsoever. But until both balls have scored, sometimes you can get a really weird result where yellow either sticks and red flicks off, or red ends up in a position where it's supposed to sit in the jaws and it's resting against a wire. So there is still that possibility.
Yellow could swish, end up on the yard line or out of bounds,
Yep.
And then even if it's inbounds, he doesn't have both balls down there. It might not be easy to get a rush to that boundary. And that boundary has some, dry grass there on it, hills off toward the veranda there, or toward the cabana, little covered area where Marco, our cameraman, is. Marco bringing us a great angle here. So again, these straight peels, you don't have to account for the draw. So he's just going to aim it straight. Looks like it hung up, but probably not resting against the stanchion, or if it is, it's halfway through. So looks like no problem. Yeah, easy rush through. Really got away with not having to have a second ball there. It just mildly complicates getting the rush on yellow, but yellow didn't go very deep either. Now we're at that 95% chance. Players like Reg do not often fail from a rush to the peg.
Yeah.
So we are looking at, a legacy-defining game, possibly putting Reg ahead of Robert Fulford for greatest of all time. We're looking at his tying the record at sixth win at these WCF, the World Croquet Foundation Association Croquet World Championships, and that would give him the Wimbledon Bowl, I believe, is the big old trophy that I assume somebody got out earlier today and shined up for Reg.
That's correct. So, and also, I think this would. Well, actually, he's already won one in this decade. But when was Reg's first AC World Championship? Do we know?
2000 something. I've got this stat sheet here. We have 2001.
So this will be his second win in this decade. And he had two wins in the 2000s.
3, 01, 05, 09.
So three wins in the 2000s.
One in the teens.
One in the teens, and now this will be his second in the...
All right, we got to take this opportunity to thank some of our other support for this YouTube channel, provided by Chris and Gail Barley, Oakley Woods Croquet, and Chris and Karen Weiss. We have the wonderful live stream you're all watching, or possibly watching back on replay, by idolivestreams.com. Wonderful beach tennis live streamers who have provided these wonderful angles, great coverage, really tireless effort, especially Marco out there in the heat all day. The Croquet Foundation of America for donating the lawns here at the National Croquet Center to the USCA for use in this event. Sandy James Fine Foods and Events, who is the exclusive caterer at the National Croquet Center, who has done a great job. I enjoyed a wonderful sort of brunch buffet today. It's really lovely. Mimosas, eggs Benedict, bacon, sausage. It's straight to my heart, through my stomach. Yeah. Well done. And then we also have, again, those sponsors of the tournament. Oakley Woods Croquet, White Tie Croquet, PFC Hoopmaker Malice, and Invictus Croquet.
And we have a new world champion. Reg Bamford, 6-time AC world champion.
And possible greatest croquet player of all time, representing the Republic of South Africa. From the club at Surbiton, England, he credits Tom Barlow in South Africa in the 1970s for getting him into competitive AC. And we have heard that he had the first really big win streak there in 1988, playing a lot of tournaments in South Africa before he became a world traveler and switched poles to play in London, where he has been just a dominant force in the game all through the 90s. He came up with Robert Fulford, Chris Clark, David Maum. Stephen Mulliner was already established. Mark Avery had already been in a world championship final in 1989. And Reg is really separated from the pack there with Robert.
Looks like we have Adam Peck going out there as with the South African flag to give to Reg.
All right, and thank you so much to Adam Peck, Michael Albert, Tom Cooper, who have been just really amazing in setting the courts up, getting these hoops super tight. We saw them even affect these number 3 and 4 croquet players in the world. Dribble through hoop 1 for Reg and a tough hampered shot, and we had a stuffed hoop by Mark. Even in the finals, when they're playing the best of anybody in the tournament, you saw that those hoops were a factor. So thank you so much to Adam Peck, Michael Albert, Tom Cooper for setting all these courts. All the referees, including our referee of the tournament, Chris Clark. We had, I'm going to not remember them all, but we had Ken, Chris, Greg, Simon, David Maloof, and just great support from the organizational staff. Again, Jeff Sue, our manager, running 6 events, I think 7, although he claimed the manager's invitational had a Swiss and a knockout. He counts as 1 event, but he's literally running both of them at the same time.
Yes.
So 7 events from Jeff. The XXV consolation event, I'm told, was because it defined the 25th best player in the tournament, which is why it was the XXV. So just running so many events and making sure that transparency really carried through so that everybody knew what was going on. We got updates all the time. And thank you again to Rocky and Elaine Smith, who were the assistant tournament managers, who really made sure that Jeff had the support he needed, despite his lack of sleep. And Eileen Sue, who helped run things at the Beach Club, being a part-time manager, part-time referee there, really running that whole area by herself. Thanks to the NCC club members, let us have these lawns for 10 days. There's a big smile on Reg. Oh, double fist pump. Double fist pump. All right, just getting right up close with Marco's camera.
That's right.
See what sign language Rez knows. Nope, just fist pumps. All right.
Good for Reg.
But yeah, just fantastic. Really couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Really just committed to croquet. It was wild to hear that his last tournament was 2024 Opens. Usually you hear about Reg playing a couple of club tournaments to warm up for the Opens, and I imagined he had played the Opens to warm up for this. Any idea why maybe he wasn't playing as much AC, Matthew?
Well, I mean, I think part of that can be a little bit misleading, considering the fact that he's had a really busy GC year, and so he's played in tons of GC events and been all over the world playing in different events, and so. Maybe AC wasn't his biggest focus, but I think the GC definitely is just keeping him playing. And so it's one thing to not be doing anything. It's another thing to be playing in multiple events.
Was he in Egypt or Spain this year or both?
He went to Egypt. He went to Spain. He went to both. And he played in the British Open in England as well.
The GC.
Yep. And so, he's played 112 games just in this year in 2025.
Wow. Okay.
So he's had a really busy season for golf croquet. Which obviously is still very impressive to not play an AC event since 2024. But to come out after not playing since 2024 and have 3 matches today or 3 games today that are 10 turns, 7 turns, and 6 turns, all 3 triples to extend the triple streak to 15 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, which is now apparently his career best. Again, that's 23 turns for the whole best of 3. So he just got better and tighter as it went on. Mark didn't make him hit in, though. So Mark did have a hit in, but crashing at hoop 1 really gave Reg the innings with just a 6-yarder that he kind of snicked.
Yes.
So Mark really didn't stretch the leave out and make Reg work to get the innings. He wanted to play aggressive and really get that first break going, and sadly that just didn't work out at hoop 1. Again, another credit to the tight hoop settings. They couldn't be bullied on that tough angle at hoop 1. So Reg really not put to the test with all the GC practice. It didn't turn into his long hit-ins as a major factor in this final.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his matches over the course of the week, though, or course of the knockout bin, his hitting in was pretty exceptional. I mean, his break play is undeniable. How well he was finishing breaks and finishing turns and not dropping breaks. But he did hit in well for the majority of this knockout, which obviously gave him the chance to have these finishing turns, but. The reality of it is Mark didn't really make him hit in. He wasn't forced to. And so it wasn't as interactive as some of the other matches he's had where he's having to hit to prevent a triple from his opponent or hit to get in on 4th turn, whatever it may be. And so I think today might not have been the case for his hitting in, but I think the golf croquet definitely benefited him this week, hitting the majority of his lifts that he needed to hit. So I think we're going to switch over to a interview between Tom Balding and Reg Bamford down on the lawn. So we're going to send it down to them.
Hello, everybody. I'm standing here courtside at the National Croquet Center in West Palm Beach, Florida, with our newly minted champion, Reg Bamford. How you doing, Reg?
Oh, thank you very much, Tom.
Good. And just was a very exciting match. It went all your way. What's going through your head right now?
Probably lots of emotions. I'm still tight. I'm still tense. I'm still anxious. Mark and I were speaking about that last break, and he said, "Oh, Reg, I didn't want to play that break," and I said, "Well, neither did I." It's not nerves, but it's a tightness. Because of consequence. I'm feeling elated. I really wanted to win this. Rob obviously won 6 last time round, and it's always nice to match him. He's such a great champion. Just very happy, Tom. Just very happy.
And we were talking a bit in the booth earlier about sort of the stats between you and Mr. Fulford. Obviously he had pulled ahead of you 2 years ago with the 2023 AC Finals, and now you've tied him again, and you have the 2 GC World Championships to your name. So the discussion for greatest player of all time is always in the talk. So
we're not having the
discussion. But
he is a great player.
But one of the things that was remarked was the level of consistency with which you constantly, year after year, are able to perform, even during periods where you're not getting as much practice or as many tournaments. Yeah. We remarked that the only tournament in AC that you have on the books this year. Yeah. And so walk us through how you get yourself in that mindset, how you prepare yourself to come out here and put on such a dominating performance for the entirety of an 8-9 day tournament.
Well, so fortunately I had played quite a lot of golf croquet, and I'd also been practicing for that. So my swing was in, and I was actually hitting the ball quite well. While, the stats probably won't reflect that necessarily in the final, but that means the rush shots are good. It means the hoop shots are good. So there was a level there, and I do tend to find that in an AC tournament, if I can get through the blocks, and I'll tell you what, Tom, it was quite tight in the blocks, because on the third day I still had to win 3. So just as long as I can get through those, then I start feeling quite good. For the very first time I genuinely engaged with the tournament, I spoke to so many people. It really helps that we're all at one venue. I kind of chilled out a bit more, which I think put me in a better frame of mind.
And you said earlier that, that last break, Mark remarking that he wouldn't want to run it, and you're feeling very tight. Obviously you're very used to sort of the weight of the occasion. You've been there before, you've done it. But maybe for the viewers at home who are to your head when it's that turn, what do you do to regulate that, not stress, but tightness?
Well, 2 things. So the first is that I have played that break thousands and thousands of times. In particular, the final break of a final game of a World's final. But I've played it in my head, and I've run through every single scenario. I did that very effectively when I played Fulford in my very first World's final, and I was calm, I was relaxed, and it was just because I had visualized and run through. I had even imagined shaking his hand at the end, Tom. I even imagined asking him what drink he wanted at the bar. I'd gone through all of those things. That said, when you are in that moment, of course it gets a bit anxious. There were times when I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is the final break, and you have to stop yourself. You have to know what to think. So practice thinking the right things. Don't just leave it to chance, because when you do leave it to chance under severe pressure like that, you're going to start thinking some really bad thoughts. So there are lots of thoughts that I was having, primarily roquet, rush, croquet, hoop. Just very simple instructions that I've done thousands of times, and it helped.
And one thing you definitely weren't thinking about, but that I'm going to love to inform you, is we looked it up, and that triple that you did in that last game apparently has set a new record for your triple streak in AC. Wow. Your previous was 14, and that was your 15th consecutive of the tournament. So congratulations on that front too, setting new records for yourself. 30, 40 plus years after you've started playing competitively?
50.
50. All right. That's right. You started a lot younger than someone like I did.
The weird thing, Tom, is I didn't feel always that I was in control of those breaks. These balls are actually quite tough to play cut rushes with and to play croquet shots, and of course the draw and the pull. And I never really felt like I was in complete control. So it's a weird stat. I suppose I think I've benefited from my opponents either not hitting at key moments or making errors at key moments, because to win so many games in a row with triples, you also need that to happen.
And obviously the one real error of the match was Mark in that first game, having that unfortunate breakdown during his finishing turn, which kind of let you
and also the third game where he blocked one.
Yes. I forgot about that. And so on the whole, a very clean match, but it just goes to show, I think, the viewers at home that in AC, unlike GC, not a lot of things need to go wrong for something to get away from you. And I think you did a very good job and have this entire tournament of every single time you've gotten a hold of the balls, you haven't really let go until you wanted to. And, how do you practice for that? It's a big question. I know.
It is a big question. I obviously do visualization. The thing is, I've played like tens of thousands of little croquet shots, and it's probably like a sort of chess grandmaster. Then they see the chess pieces on the board, and they kind of know what move they have to make. Even even if they're not quite conscious about it, they just know that is the right thing to do. So, the split shots, once you get used to the balls, then you sort of know where those balls go. Like my pioneer for penultimate, Tom, all I wanted to do was put my pioneer at penultimate 3 foot in front, and I put it 5 yards past. But I knew what my croquet shot needed to be to get there. So it was a slightly high risk split shot. I could have done a takeoff, but I just thought, no, I know what shot to play. Go and play it.
Well, Reg, thank you so much for taking a few minutes. I know that you have a lot of celebrating to go do, and we'll have the awards ceremony shortly. But the 2025 AC World Champion, Reg Bamford, thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Well, we could do this.
All right, guys, it's great to hear from Tom. Thank you very much, Tom, for the interview, and great to hear from Reg and just some thoughts of a champion and just what's going through his head and being here before and winning the 6th. And Tom tried to pry a little bit about Mr. Fulford and the greatest of all time conversation. And it's nice to hear Reg say we're not having that conversation. We're both great players, two all time greats, and it's not about one being better than another. It's just about, recognizing greatness. So.
Right. And we talk about that camaraderie that you get from players. Now, Reg and Robert Fulford both playing in England, but still probably only see each other a couple events a year. So, their story goes back decades. They've been competing for a long time. And part of the thing is that we're all part of a very small niche group of fanatics for this game of croquet. And so nobody's trying to really be, mano a mano, except once you're on the court. When you're on the court, you're competing, and when you're off the court, very class act, Reg there, trying to make sure that we're not drawing lines and distinctions and, a legacy competition here. So he's really doing a great job. I think we're setting up for the Trophy Awards presentation. I believe that'll start soon with our wonderful officials. We have Michael Albert, Jeff Sue, Bev Cardo. I'd just like to do a little bit of sign off here from the booth. Thank you, Tom, for your wonderful interview and great commentary. The commentator here doing a great job all week.
Thank you, everybody.
We are again live from West Palm Beach here at the Croquet Foundation of America, Charles P. Stuber National Croquet Center, presented by the World Croquet Federation and the United States Croquet Association. I'd like to thank our major support provided by the W.P. Carey Foundation, Doing Good While Doing Well, and the Palm Beach Sports Commission, Just Bring Your Game.
We are Matthew Essick,
Tom Balding,
and Ben Rothman. Have fun and play well.
Ok. Le digo que se pare acá. Ok. Ok, ya le digo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Ok. Amor, creo que están esperando. Creo que están esperando, amor.
Michael. On this side. Just in case.
Do we know that they're both on? I mean, okay. Just waiting on our champion. Did he just come out? Is that Reg? Do we know if he came out? Is he? Did you see him? Okay. We were just waiting on our champion. Can you hear me? No. Is it on? Is it on?
Apparently not. That's the bottom. There's a switch for that. It's showing green.
She needs both.
Está apagado. The live stream ones. I've got the other one here too.
They walked away with the other one, which I think might have been the one we were supposed to.
Exactly.
Okay, let's try this.
That one works. I just heard it.
That one too.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Yes? No. Can you hear me?
So speak up.
I've been told to speak up. There we go. Okay. Great. What a wonderful week. This is amazing. Thank you to all of our competitors that have turned out this week and brought their great sportsmanship, competitive talent to our lawns. We have so many people to thank once again. I'm going to keep it brief because I know that we want to get on to congratulating all of these athletes. But just one more time, the NCC has really turned out for us here, as well as the Beach Club in the beginning of the week. But we really want to thank the National Croquet Club members that set aside these lawns for us to have this championship. We thank you so much for your enthusiasm and your support. I think the food has been delicious. Thank you so much to the Sandy James team. Scott Reiser, James Bartle, thank you so much. I think the live streaming has been incredible. That's idolivestream.com, and we will be using them again, so stay tuned. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, we would love it if you would, okay? And likes are really important too. All right. I have standing here with me really important people, and I want to acknowledge each one. I want to start with Tom Cooper, our marketing director here at the USCA. This is cutting out. Very good. Okay. You all know Michael Albert. He's been working hard, and you also know, oh, it's cutting out. Okay. You also know Adam Peck,
Yeah.
who's been running around. Okay, he's running around. Okay, thank you to them. Oh, I'm gonna lose us.
Keep facing this way.
Okay. And then finally, I just want to acknowledge, I think one of the greatest tournament managers, Jeff Sue. Fabulous, fabulous. Incredible organizational skills to run how many tournaments on Croquet Scores he had running at one time. That was just incredible, and everyone got a lot of play in, and I so appreciate Jeff Sue and Elaine and Rocky Smith, who have already hit the road heading home, but acknowledge them and thank them. And then this beautiful, beautiful venue that we've all enjoyed, and we've received so many compliments, and it's owned by the CFA, and the man behind the big show here is David McCoy, and I'd like to have a round of applause and bring him up here. Thank you, David. I'd like to hand this over for David to say a few comments.
Because one is the live stream.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll be brief, unusually so. But I would like to thank the WCF and the USCA for putting on just a fantastic tournament. As chairman of this of the CFA and owner of this facility, we're the hosts. So I'd just like to ask one question. Did everybody have a good time? The host needs to know that. Okay. With that assurance, I'm going to turn this over to Albert.
Thank you so much, David. We really could not have done this without the support of the CFA. They did not charge us for the use of these lawns. That's huge here in America. I'd also like to tip our hat to all of our sponsors. I'm not going to name everybody again. You've heard their names all week, but their support means everything. And again, these are expensive tournaments to put on in the U.S., and we could not have done it without the support of our sponsors. So thank you to all of our sponsors. Two of our supporters have made personal gifts to give to the winner today. Jay Carey, who represents the W.P. Carey Foundation, our lead supporter, has designed and built a custom mallet that has been inscribed on the face on both ends with the logo of this event. So he will be presenting that to the champion. And Karen Wise of Karen Wise Fine Art, that's the top, has donated this lovely painting of a Florida sunset, and that is also going to the winner. So thank you both. A call out to both of those people. Okay, and now I'm going to hand this over to Jeff, and he's going to start announcing our winners.
So first, just since I can say a few words on behalf of the World Croquet Federation, as with all croquet organizations, it is a volunteer-driven organization, and the WCF absolutely depends on the tremendous support of the member associations who host these events. So echoing all of the thanks that have come before, but also particularly acknowledging the United States Croquet Association for hosting this World Championship. Thank you very much. And we would also like to thank the players for taking the time to come to this event, to bring your level of dedication and sportsmanship. That is what this event is all about. So thank you again to all the players. And I will just announce the next WCF World Championship event. That will be the McRobertson Shield Centenary event. 100 years since that tournament was founded. It will be held next summer from late July to early August in England. And we all look forward very much to what should be a fantastic contest. And then the next iteration of this tournament, the Association Croquet World Championship, will be held in 2027 in Wellington, New Zealand. So now on to the winners of the various events, and we will begin, as is traditional, with the consolation events. We had quite a few consolation events this time, and I'm going to start with the Manager's Invitational, which was a sort of extra event that we added on, but it was very well received, and the participation was great. So the winner of the Manager's Invitational, sorry, the winner of the Manager's Invitational is Nick Parrish. So, small gift, so congratulations. Small gift for you. This is your little game card, and it is good for one item of merchandise from the USCA merchandise table.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Come back. Come back. Yep. Come on.
Go to the outside. Go to the inside.
Okay, you imagine. You get in the middle. There we go. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, and another additional event was for the players who started in the bowl and then lost in that first round. So we created an additional event, which for those players that Higgins came up with a very clever name. What's a small bowl? Is a ramekin. So the ramekin won in very timely fashion, and I was nervous about bringing out this trophy because it's so valuable. From Australia, Greg Hill.
Just back up a little, and then we can catch everybody. If you'll stay on this side and jump on the outside of that.
Thank you. Well done.
And we'll stay for a
great.
photo if you want.
Yeah, it sounds lovely. In the middle of the lane? Yeah? Okay.
All right, now on to the plate, which is the competition for the players who did not qualify to the main knockout, but then they got to go through several days of playing blocks and then ending in a knockout. And the winner of the plate from Scotland, Duncan Reeve. We'll get to that. Players who have qualified to the main knockout, lost in the first round, have the option of participating in the bowl, which is itself a knockout. And I'm very pleased to say that all 16 players who were eligible for the bowl chose to play in the bowl, so we really had an excellent competition. The winner of the bowl from England, Stephen Mulliner. The Shield is the competition for. The Shield is the competition for players who have advanced to the second round of the main knockout, lost that match. They can then participate in another knockout. And the winner of the Shield, the final was held right here on Lawn 7. The winner of the Shield is USA's and NCC's own Zach Watson.
You gotta look over there, though. Hold it up, Dad. Good job.
Nice job, Zach.
So they bring both these guys up at once?
Yeah.
Okay. And now for the bronze medalists in the championship. From New Zealand, Logan McCorkindale, and from Australia, Robert Fletcher. The silver medalist from England, Mark Avery.
Next best thing to the queen, right? Great job. Thank you very much.
And for the 6th time, tying the record set last year, the 2025 WCF Association Croquet World Champion from South Africa, Reg Bamford.
We'll do that, and then you can hoist it for us. Oh, wait, you get this too.
Tighten up.
Forgot about this.
Michael, can you come in a little bit? There you go. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but he hadn't had a shower. Wait.
You can step up.
Yeah, baby.
Karen Wise has presented this.
So on behalf of Karen Weiss Fine Art,
So Karen, would you like to come forward?
and on behalf of the W.P. Carey Foundation, Jay Carey is going to come up and present this commemorative mallet.
Thank you very much.
Any more words?
If I could just say a couple of words. Most of the thank yous have already been said, but just before I say my own thank yous on behalf of the players, could I just say a couple of words about Mark? He's such a great guy, and I know that he had a lot of supporters here today. He is a great champion, and it was a great privilege and honor to play against Mark today in today's final. Thank you very much, Mark. Now, most of the thank yous have already been said. To Jay and the WP Carey Foundation, thank you very much. And to all the other people who've made such a big financial contribution, and to the sponsors, thank you very much. This has been by far my most fun, most enjoyable World Championship. Off the lawn, you know, so many wonderful people here who have made this such an enjoyable event. The people behind the bar, Joe, I've got to know you, and Crystal. My card is behind the bar afterwards, by the way. To the catering staff, you know, thank you very much. You know, you guys have done.
Offer to buy a round for everybody?
I have.
Just offer to buy a round.
To Ursula and the admin team, you know, thank you very much. And then in terms of on the lawn, I mean, these are just wonderful conditions. Could I say thank you very much to Chris Clark and to David and his team. I think that included Simon and, I'm going to get all the names wrong, Chris and Ken.
Greg.
And Greg. And Eileen. Thank you very much. There was a hive of activity, granted, it was next to the bar, but to Jeff and Eileen and to Elaine and to Rocky, thank you very much for all your hard work. The tournament finished on time. Thank you, Mark. But also, in terms of the hoop setting and the court setting, every evening when I was practicing out there, there'd be a group of people, Adam, yourself, Michael, Tom, and I know you guys came out first thing in the morning as well. So we deeply appreciate all your efforts. Thank you very much. I know I've left.
Our grounds crew.
The grounds crew. Yeah, great job. Could I also mention Tom and Ben and the streaming team, and you guys did an awesome job with the cameras and the videos. Thank you very much for that. And I think you've heard enough from me. My card is behind the bar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Reg. It's been.
On behalf of the WCF, I now pronounce this event closed.
Great job. Great job. Thank you.
Yay, us.
Yay, I feel it.
I'll take that. You take the base. Got it? How did I do that? I don't know.